Chess friends, I hope you are doing well. My college examination is almost over, and with a new version of Stockfish 17, boasting more than 4050 LO, I will illustrate a very amazing and spectacular chess game that I played against Torch, where I sacrificed my rook. This game is full of tactics, and I will demonstrate how to close up the files and attack on the king side. So, let's get started without wasting any time. I started the game with knight to f3. Here, black could have played d5, but instead, he played d6. We have g3, knight to c6, followed by e5 from Torch. Of course, Torch can centralize his pawns very well and bring out the bishop and queen to play for a long castle. Everything seems fine. After d3, where I open up the bishop's diagonal, he played h6 to prevent any sort of attacks, possibly intending to play g5 or f5, as he might not castle on the king side. He is challenging me, and my strongest ally, Stockfish 17, by playing a long castle. Alright, I declared war by playing c4. I won't let him castle long without facing my pawn storm. After a few more moves, I castled short, and his bishop moved to e6. Then I played a very spectacular move. Can you guess what it was? The move was b4, threatening to play b5, which would devastate his knight. I would also gain an open diagonal for my bishop. If he tries to play a6 to prevent any attacks, it doesn't matter because queen to b3 can follow. The queen would be behind the pawn structure, bishop to b2 could come, and everything would be fine for me. As a gangster of chess, it is necessary for me to take shelter behind blocks or pawns, suiting my strategy. At this point, Torch captured the pawn, giving my rook a chance to embark on its path of enlightenment. After c5 and a3, my rook captured on b7, gaining access to the 7th rank. At this point, many chess players might consider playing bishop to e7, but it would be a vulnerable move because the bishop's diagonal would be wide open. I could then play a very tactical move. Think like Einstein and his formula, E equals mc squared. In chess, that means by involving your queen in the attack of the knight, you can gain sufficient advantages. For instance, if black plays bishop to d7, you can apply pressure with the rook on d7. After the capture, knight takes e5 arrives, opening up the bishop and the queen's attack on the knight on c6. Thus, after the rook capture, the position would be advantageous for white because I would be up a pawn, which is a fine situation. Looking back at the position, we see that playing bishop to d7 is a very bad choice. So, if black plays queen to c8, he might as well pack his bags and go home because I can still sacrifice my knight in the center to open up the bishop's diagonal, with his knight also under attack. After the subsequent captures, moving towards f8, my position would be dominating. Believe it or not, I would have a +4 advantage because my rook would be dominating the 7th rank. So, going back to the position, we see that any sort of bishop move is a very bad choice. That's why the bishop moved back to c8, and my rook went to b2. I just wanted to reposition my rook and open up the bishop's diagonal. Still, my opponent couldn't play any normal moves because knight takes e5 is a hidden tactic, born of my hidden talents. Every man has hidden talents, which he must discover and demonstrate to the world. As the queen moved to a4, I aimed to make my powerhouse and place the knight there as a secretary, and that's exactly what happened. After a few more moves, Torch even played knight to h7 to push forward his pawns. While my rooks were doubled up, he could have messed up the board, but as soon as black considered f5, it became clear that bishop to d5 could cause some serious problems for the black king. However, my problem was that he also had the light-squared bishop. Of course, I could put my bishop on a dark square to attack black's territory from a hidden path, which is why I considered bishop to c3. The rooks had an open file, the bishop would get an open diagonal, and the knight couldn't join the battlefield. As the knight retreated and captures ensued, I played knight to c7, immediately attacking the queen. After the queen moved, I played a very spectacular move. Can you guess what I played? Think like Stockfish or a super chess engine. Rook to b7 was my move. If you guessed it, congratulations. That was the move, and you might wonder how I made so much progress. Returning to the position, I take you to the climax point when b4 was played. By playing b4, I sacrificed a pawn, but my rooks dominated the file, leading to substantial progress in the game, finally resulting in rook to b7. This was the climactic moment, breaking through on the 7th rank. If you dare to play rook to f7, the position will be in my favor. I would play a very strong move, but before showing that position, let me address another possibility. Some might have considered bishop takes rook a move ago. Let me illustrate why this would also lead to a vulnerable position for black. Afterward, if you play rook to f7, your position will be completely lost. I will consider knight to d5, beating and punching your position right away. As the queen moves back, I will casually pick up the bishop while drinking my coffee, then spit on Torch's face with a laugh. And let me share an inspirational quote in sudden with you. Your thoughts create your reality. If you want a positive life, fill your mind with positive thoughts. So, going back to the original position, we discovered that playing rook to f7 is a very bad choice. You know what? Some of the 69i group chess players might consider queen to e6, but let me remind you how the knight moves. The knight controls these squares, so if the queen moves back to d8, that's also bad for you because knight to e6 will arrive, threatening to grab a burger or pizza at the burger's shop. Returning to the original position when rook to b7 was played, the bishop cannot capture the rook, so, Torch moved his bishop back to d8, putting pressure on the knight. As the knight reached d5, gaining access to this file, many players might think about queen to e6 as a good move, but knight to e7 check arrives on the board, forcing the king to move, and if you move the king, thinking it will escape from the chessboard, guess what? I can give you another check. After that, rook to g7 leads to a checkmate, and the game will be over for you. Alright. Going back to the original position, we discovered that no queen move is possible. Therefore, after the rook was captured and rook takes b7 was still alive, gaining access to the 7th rank, I illustrated the variation where queen to e6 is not possible. So, if the queen moves back to e8, which is what actually happened in the game, I play a check, and then we have a4. You can see that my bishop is blocked by your pawn army's territories. The knight cannot access the territory because Torch is living in the desert. There's not enough grass for the knight. Anyway, after a few more moves, you can see me maneuvering my pieces, and finally, I captured the knight on f6. This was another exchange sacrifice of my rook because I was forced to play that move. I had no other choice. A few moves later, when the knight went to f3, I started threatening to fork the love story between the king and the queen. Shakespeare might not have forgotten his ex-lover, but Torch had to forget his, because I captured the pawn on g5. It's important to note that the rook could capture it, but the problem for you is that your other rook became unguarded, and I captured it, in the end. We just exchanged some pawns, and it came down to bishop and knight versus bishop and rook. You can see how I captured all of black's pawns, leaving black completely hopeless. He lost his queen, and a few moves later, I checkmated him. I hope you enjoyed the game. The latest Stockfish 17 beta version is a monster. Nobody can defeat it, and Princess Chess will soon arrive to compete against me. Wishing you all the best. Subscribe for more. Bye bye. See you soon.